Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Total War Warhammer. Now we've done the Chaos, we've done the Dwarves, we've done the Vampire Counts, we've done even Bretonia. So we've saved the Empire for last. So what can the Empire bring to a battle, you might be asking yourself if you haven't played this game, and if you have, then you're like, oh my god, just get to the replay. Well, first of all, for their lords, you can bring Karl Franz, who is their faction leader, the Empire Karl Franz here. He is a duelist, he has armor piercing, and he's armored. He is pretty damn good in melee. However, the best things here is he has quite a few mount choices, and he has Deathclaw, which is a gigantic, monstrous griffin. And it is quite nice when he uses it. As you can see, it gives him more health by quite a bit. And it's flying, which is very nice. And I'll show you a little bit why if you don't already know. Then they have Balthazar Gelt, which is a metal casting wizard, or a gold casting wizard. He has something to do with metal and gold and shit like that, but he's an interesting choice. I'm not a huge fan of him, but he can bring an Imperial Pegasus if you want to be able to avoid pesky vampires and their spirit leeching. He does have some cool abilities. I'm not particularly good with him, but that's alright. Then you can just bring a regular general of the Empire who has access to Imperial Griffins as well as Imperial Pegasus and just regular horses, both Warhorse and Barded Warhorse. For heroes, the Empire has, I think, the largest selection, at least rivaling the Chaos. They have Empire Captains, Warrior Priests, Witch Hunters, and then for Wizards, they have Bright Wizards, Celestial Wizards, and Light Wizards. Empire Captain, he does what most other kind of melee-based guys do. He's basically there for the extra leadership and bonuses to the men, but he's also armored and shielded and doesn't perform too badly in melee combat. However, he's not a duelist, so don't expect him to win head-to-head with really good heroes or lords. You can perhaps take out some lords if he can get close, but anyways. Then you have Warrior Priest, kind of does the same thing, but he has some battle prayers. He's not armored and shielded, though. In fact, his armor is actually surprisingly low, but he does have some interesting prayer abilities. I haven't used him too much. I just think he looks cool. But next, Witch Hunter, probably the one you're going to want to look at the most, especially if you see somebody pick a Vampire Count build, because he is he's a duelist. He's got armor-piercing missiles. He's really good at taking out other people's heroes and lords, especially with this accusation ability, which is basically like the Empire's version of Spirit Leech. Then you have Bright Wizard. Bright Wizard has fire abilities. This is probably my favorite wizard just because everything is pretty straightforward, you know. Set this on fire with a giant firing skull. Set this on fire with a pillar of fire. Or set this on fire with flying balls of fire, and pretty straightforward. I like it. Celestial Wizard, this is kind of storm and sky. This is my second choice for wizard. He has some cool stuff like the Thunderbolt. He also has the Chain Lightning, Thunderbolt, where is it? Comet of Cassandora, which is pretty damn cool looking. Then you have the Light Wizard. I haven't even brought this guy yet, so I don't really know what he does, but seems like maybe he's more of a buffing type of hero. Anyways, infantry, you have spearmen without shields, spearmen with shields. Now, it is interesting to note that for 400 more, they get a shield, or 400 more, for 100 cost more, they get a shield, but what does that actually give them? Well, all it does is give them 6 more melee defense and missile block chance. So, is it worth it? I personally don't think so. I think that Spearmen with Shields is probably a waste of money. I think the Spearmen are more affordable for 300. Then you have Swordsmen. These guys are shielded. They're a little bit better in melee combat against other melee infantry units. However, they don't have the bonus versus large, and they're still a little pricey for what they can bring to the table, but you need some infantry to hold the line. Then you have Halberds, who I think are way too expensive. They really aren't that great, to be perfectly honest with you. They're not shielded. They are better than Spearmen by quite a bit. They have armor piercing, which is nice. Their leadership is 4 higher than the 300 Spearmen. Their melee attack is 1 higher. Melee defense is 6 higher. and their charge bonus is a few higher as well. But I don't feel like for the money that they're actually that much better, which is unfortunate because I don't feel like a lot of things are worth it in the Empire roster. I think they can still bring a good army, an army that can be very competitive. In fact, they're probably one of the better rosters, but not the entire roster. There's just a couple of key things in here that work pretty well. Next, you have the great swords, which are quite lovely. These are angry Germans that have Zweihandes, basically two-handed swords. They are anti-infantry, armor-piercing, and armored. So they do get a 10+ bonus versus infantry, armor-piercing, and armored, which means they can take a lot of... What does this do? Oh, okay, that shows you their description. But they can take some pretty good hits and deliver some even harder hits back to infantry. Their stats are pretty good. They are pretty expensive, though, at $950, but I think they are worth it, but I would not bring a lot of these. I would not spend a bunch of your money on these. In fact, in a large funds game, I don't know if I'd even... Sometimes you won't even bring these, honestly. But if you have the money and you know that you're going to need armor piercing, then these guys are quite good at the job. Missile infantry, you have crossbowmen and handgunners. The handgunners, I think, are better for the money just because they have more overall damage. They have a quicker reload speed. They have a longer range, and they can shoot over your men if you give them enough distance to shoot. Handgunners, however, are more expensive. They don't have as good of range. Their missile damage isn't as good overall, but they have a lot of armor piercing damage. And they can't shoot over your men. So handgunners are a little bit harder to use, but if you know that you're going up against very heavily armored factions, like perhaps the dwarves, or if... I wouldn't even say chaos, because in quick battles, chaos isn't going to bring anything super heavily armored. But if you're in another type of just a multiplayer battle or campaign, and you know that you're going to be going up against heavily armored chaos warriors, these guys are pretty good as well. Then we have cavalry and chariots. You have Empire Knights. And for 300 more, you get the Reichsguard, which I think is a pretty good purchase. I think they're a pretty good upgrade from the Empire Knights. I think the Reichsguard's probably the better purchase. Then, of course, you have the infamous and very deadly Demigryph Knights. These guys will rule the field most of the time. In fact, you're going to see almost every Empire build is going to bring Demigryph Knights, and you should too. In fact, you should bring as many Demigryph Knights as the rules allow you to, and that you are monetarily allowed to bring without weakening other aspects. Demigryph Knights with halberds are particularly useful, in my opinion, better than the regular ones because they have anti-large and armor piercing. This means that they can go up against monsters and other cavalry and win against pretty much everything. I have not found them to lose against very many other units that are cavalry or large. I think perhaps Hex Wraiths can beat them, but I could be wrong about that. Anyways, then we have missile cavalry and chariots. You have pistoliers, outriders, and outriders with grenade launchers. I don't really find any of these super useful for the price. They're pretty expensive for what they do. However, if you are good at using missile cavalry, then they have some interesting options. The outriders with the grenade launchers are really awesome, but I don't think they're actually that good. They're just cool. Anyways, then you move on to artillery and war machines, whereas the other part that the Empire's quite good with. They have mortars, great cannons, Hellstorm rocket batteries, Hell's Blaster cannons, Luminarch of Hesh, and steam tanks. Steam tanks are really expensive, but goddamn, these things are literally tanks in this game. Everything else is pretty good. It's all right. It's not the best, but it's pretty damn good. Yeah, that made no sense. Now, I'm not the best with the Empire either, but... oh, that's not what I meant to do. But let's go ahead and check out this replay. I've already been ranting for 9 minutes. Jesus Christ, I'm bad at this. Here we go. So I will be going up against the vampire counts. And this is something you are likely to see in quick battles. In multiplayer battles, you won't see this as often, but in quick battles, you're going to see a lot of vampire builds right now that are focused on using lots of vampires because they have Spirit Leech, which is sad, but... that's just how the balance of the game is, and that's where a lot of people think the meta is. But to be perfectly honest with you, I haven't lost a game against this build yet. I've gone up against maybe 4 of these vampire builds like this, and I haven't lost to a single one of them yet. So my army here is comprised by a few of these regular spearmen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 7. I have 7 of these regular spearmen here without shields. Then I think I just have 2 swordsman units. I have 1 great sword unit. I do have Karl Franz, and I put him on a flying unit. I never, if I have the choice, I will always put him on a flying unit, even if it's the cheaper option. I do have 1 great cannon here. I was worried that he might perhaps bring some big monstrous units, so that's the reason behind them. I actually have 2 great cannons, I apologize. And I have spearmen guarding them, which is a good idea because, as you can see over here, he's got some hex wraiths. I don't think I can even see them yet. I think they were hidden for me. I do have 1 demigryph knight with halberds over here. These guys look pretty damn awesome. I think that's all my cav, though. I don't think I had any other... Oh, I had 2 demigryph knights with halberds. As I said, these guys are really good, so you might want to bring them. I also have a witch hunter here, who is very good, as I said, at taking out heroes. And so my opponent, why would you do this? Even if you can get a Spirit Leech off on Karl Franz, there's no way that you're going to get up through my lines and kill Karl Franz. There's just no way. Like, your Spirit Leech still takes some time to recharge and regenerate. So I don't know what the hell he's thinking here. He's taking a shit ton of fire from handgunners, from crossbows, from great cannons. My witch hunter here is shooting at him, and so he's just about to lose his general. However, that being said, he did, because I was focus firing him, get 2 of these vampires through. But you can hear that I'm spam clicking Karl Franz, trying to move him out of danger, because I see that the vampire counts still have 2 of these guys coming at me. So it's going to be kind of a micromanaging bit on my part of moving Karl Franz out of the way. Kind of annoying going up against this build so often, but I mean, it's actually really easy to counter, to be perfectly honest with you, as long as you have a flying mount of your own. Because as you can see, I've already killed his zombie dragon and Manfred, so that is, let's see, 1,600 points plus 600 more, so that is 2,200 points I just killed using crossbowmen and handgunners, and my hero here. And now his other vampire counts are taking all of that fire that his leader was using. He decided that the best use of hex wraiths was to charge them into 2 spearman units. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you, I don't win this battle because of my own personal skill. I kind of win this battle because of my opponent's strategy being so flawed. I really think this vampire count thing is flawed. I mean, there are some builds you can do that are very powerful with vampire counts, for sure, especially using Spirit Leech, but just rushing with them is so fucking dumb. I mean, they've got 1 Spirit Leech off on me, and they've lost 2 of their vampire counts, including Manfred. His Hex Wraiths are dying now. These Vargeis are just sitting over there doing nothing. His Crypt Horrors have smashed into my lines, and yeah, they're going to do a shit ton of damage, but I mean, they have really poor leadership now, and they're not going to last that long. Hex Wraiths are going into great swords. That's good. That's what they should have done in the beginning, probably. And I don't even think my Demigryph Knights are doing anything, and I'm still spamming Karl Franz. He actually did get caught. The vampire caught up to him. I don't know if I was micromanaging something else, so I think he actually does die, but the difference is I still have another hero. I have a hero, and then this vampire guy is about to die. Yeah, Karl Franz dies here, but his vampire lord's about to die as well, and I still have another hero. So what's the point of that build? I don't... Like, that's not how you even use that build. So he's got some Graveguard here that caught some of my crossbowmen and spearmen, but say hello to demigryphs with armor-piercing halberds. And then these Graveguard here are just outnumbered. He is killing quite a few of my men with them, now that he's got the Vargeis in there helping as well, but now all 3 of his lords are dead. All 3 of his 2 heroes and his lord are dead, so his men have like little to no leadership anymore. Even the Graveguards have nothing left, pretty much. So as you can see, even though they're winning this melee fight against just simple spears, they are already taking. Oh no, these guys have actually come back. They were taking damage, though. These guys are for sure, with all these demigryph halberds in there. And he decides that the best place for his Vargeis is fighting halberd-wielding demigryphs who have a bonus versus monsters in large. That seems like a really good place to put them. But these guys are all dying out, and it's over. See? It's done. vampire counts will collapse without their leaders. So why in the hell would you send all 3 of your lords and heroes in a suicide mission after mine? Yeah, Karl Franz died, but I had another one, and I killed 3 of his. A 3 for 1 is not a good deal. You used 3 of these guys to kill 1. I just don't get it. I'm not saying this guy's a bad player either. I'm just saying that the whole strategy behind the Spirit Leech thing is kind of getting out of hand. Like, people are hearing, oh, Spirit Leech is super OP. Like, there's nothing that can beat a Spirit Leech build. Bullshit. I seriously have not lost to one of these Spirit Leech ones yet. In fact, like this troll one right here, I played as the Empire versus Vampire count. In fact, let's fucking watch this one too. We have time. We're only at 15 minutes and I haven't ranted nearly enough. Look at what they brought. Look at what these guys brought. Yeah. And I brought basically the same build, actually. In fact, I think this is the exact same build. This is kind of my anti-vampire counts build. Yep, same exact build. So I have the flying mount for Karl Franz. I got this hunter. As soon as I saw what he was doing, I was like, God fucking damn it. But I have not lost a single time. Like, I don't get why people think this build is so OP. I mean, Spirit Leech itself is very tough against generals, yes, but there's ways to counter it. Don't get your general caught by them. That's very simple. Very, very simple. I mean, look, they're all just infantry. They don't even have mounts, so I'm just going to fly Karl Franz off to the corner of the map and say, bye-bye, birdie. And here come my infantry to just hold them off, and now it's just going to be a grind fest with heroes. And guess what? I win this very handedly. Although the power is definitely in his favor, which is funny. But yeah, I have my damn witch hunter here. He's accusing them, shooting them up. I got demigryphs in there, and I'm just concentrating fire on them. I keep my general out of their way. Now, even if he had men and he only had a couple of these vampires, it would go the same way as my last game did too. You keep your general out of reach of the vampires, and well, there's 2 ways. One is you can keep him out of reach of the vampires, period. 2, for people perhaps more like the dwarves who can't have flying mounts, you just keep him guarded by ranged units. Thunderers and things like that, quarrelers, whatever kind of ranged units you have, just keep your men around them, and boom, I won. Fucking hell. What's sad is the vampire counts are my favorite faction, and I do like using Spirit Leech. I think the Book of Death is my favorite book, and that's why I quite like their vampire counts and stuff. But when I take the vampire counts to battle, I do like to put Manfred on a zombie dragon. I think that's pretty OP. And even if you bring another vampire, that's fine. But 3 of them? And on flying mounts? Then what can you afford? I mean, you can get some Graveguard. Oh, shit, we're already running out of money. Okay, well, let's just fill that in with zombies. And I've literally seen builds that do this. Literally, just... I don't know. It might be a balancing issue with CA. You know, Spirit Leech and Fate of Vienna might be too OP. But when you bring these 3 guys, you're using this same pool of magic. You're going to run out of it pretty fast. Yeah, you can throw them out quickly, but if anybody, any competent player can beat this. In fact, it's got to the point where, as I said, I've just built my Empire build is made to counter this. I just keep them on a flying mount, fly them away, shoot down the vampires as they come in. If they're walking, even better. They get shot even quicker. In fact, honestly, when I play vampires, I just bring Manfred von Carstein. I don't even bring any of the others, and I'm just careful with him. I use the Vampire Dragon to give him mobility. I hit Spirit Leech when his general's in reach, and I use Fate of Vienna when he's got elite units that are hurting my own. And then I bring maybe some Great Swords, maybe a few Graveguard. I like to bring Skeleton Spearmen. This is large, though, so this is a little different than what I normally like to do completely, but you could do something like perhaps this here. I don't know. Something. Anyways, that's enough of my ranting. I've done a couple of videos now where I've talked about the whole vampire count thing, and it's not... I don't know. What I find frustrating isn't the fact that people are doing it. It's that people are enabling them to do this type of build and then because people are getting on forums and shit and saying how OP the vampire count build is, that they can take anybody, that it's unbeatable, but it's not. You just have to play smart. I mean, for the time being, if you see your enemies bringing vampire counts, build something to snipe his guys. In fact, you should have something in your army that can snipe generals anyways. If your vampire counts, they have built-in Spirit Leech, yes. Cool. That's easy. Everybody knows how to do that. But if you're dwarves, use things like the cannons, use things like thunderers, quarrelers, and shoot that goddamn general. Kill the general. Greenskins, they have Azog with the death thing. Some of their lords can do some decent stuff. Duelists for cheap for killing him. Black Orcs can kill him pretty nicely. I don't know. Empire obviously has Witch Hunter. Karl Franz if he gets in melee, but you have to keep him away from people with death. Spirit Leech. Then great cannons are great, and any missile units are going to wreck their shit. In fact, here's the thing. All these other factions have some sort of ranged unit. The vampire counts are at a huge disadvantage of not having artillery or ranged units. So if you take away their Spirit Leech, they suddenly have nothing to snipe enemy generals with, unless you want to bring a $2,000 Terrorgeist to charge his general and then not use him for other things. So this is literally using their Spirit Leech. This is what makes up for their lack of ranged and artillery abilities, is their powerful magic. So I don't know. I'm more annoyed by the people that are complaining about these builds and saying they're OP than the people that are using them. Because the people who are using them have gone to the forums, they've seen people complaining about it, and they're like, "Oh, this is the OP build. This is how you kick people's ass. This is how I make those players go back and cry to their mother that this game is unbalanced and the vampire counts need a nerf. Nerf the vampire counts. Nerf the Spirit Leech." I don't know. Maybe I'm going way out of proportion with this, but it just, to me, it seems like the vampire counts are balanced. They have no other way of sniping units, generals, lords, heroes besides Spirit Leech. There's a couple of little things like the what's it called? Gaze of Nagash. There's a couple of things, but anyways, that's just my rant for the day. I don't know. I was thinking about it a lot recently, and I just kind of wanted to talk about it because, in my opinion, they are perfectly balanced, and I don't know. Magic is their artillery. Magic is their ranged weaponry. That's all they got for range. And if you can't beat the spam of vampires, then figure out how. Because it's pretty simple, to be perfectly honest. I know it's annoying. I know that it kind of sucks when you get on quick battle and you see those builds so often. But if you start beating those builds, if you stop whining and start beating those builds with very simple simple counters, counter snipe them, then they'll stop doing it. In fact, I have seen it less recently than I did before. Early on in the game's history, I saw it a lot, but I am seeing it less, which is nice. So I guess this rant is completely useless, and I'm just ranting for the sake of ranting. So I hope you've enjoyed this 24-minute episode with about 2 minutes worth of actual gameplay and the rest of me just ranting. Yeah, well, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. God.